Today we are going to investigate drama in ancient Greece.
No one ever put on a play before the Athenians. Roots. Where did it all come from?
Imagine for a moment you are living in the world of the ancient Greeks, in the countryside. It is far earlier than the Golden Age. People in your village farm for survival and worship the gods for good health, good fortune, and good harvest. To celebrate spring and the return of the light and the harvest, friends and family gather for a feast. A tune or a dance might develop, half prayer and half celebration. There would be food and drink, and the songs and dances would continue into the night, carrying people out of their winter fears into this spring celebration. In Greek myth, there are stories about satyrs, half human and half goat, who are always getting into trouble. As part of these celebrations, a few people would dress up like goats with little beards and horns and a little tail. They would do silly little dances and entertain the group with stories about these satyrs getting into mischief. There was great laughter in the village. Sometimes, instead of just telling the stories, people would pretend that they were inside the stories. After a while, all this singing and dancing and celebrating the harvest, these silly tales and costumes, all got connected to the god Dionysus. One year, the country folk came to the marketplace in Athens, the Agora, to sell their harvest. They set up a small statue of Dionysus in a cart and sang and danced and play acted around the statue. A new art form was born: drama.
The word tragedy means goat song. The word theater means the seeing place. Think for a minute. How is a cell phone like ancient theater?
It's oral. We speak it and hear it. It's visual. It presents itself, and we look at it and watch it. It's written. The playwright writes words that we hear. Plays are based on myths, but have ideas like philosophy. They combine the oral culture of stories, the visual spectacle of performance, and the written words of the playwright.
Festivals.
Every spring, the Athenians put on a great dramatic festival to honor the god Dionysus. The festivals were week-long. Performances went into the night in a great open-air theater at the foot of the Acropolis.
The Parthenon was being built while the plays were performed. Socrates was wandering in the marketplace, talking about ideas. And the Athenians were debating their laws in the democratic assembly.
Wealthy citizens sponsored the plays. It was a great honor. Festivals were a competition with prizes awarded. The poor could attend free of charge. A good play would strike a chord in the audience. Yeah, that's right, people would think. Oh my God, how scary. That's really funny.
Dionysus. The festivals were staged to honor the god Dionysus. Dionysus was the god of wine,
Of wild growing things.
and of drama. Theaters. Plays were performed in vast open-air theaters. Theaters had very good acoustics. Everyone, no matter where they sat, could hear quite well.
Theaters also had very good sight lines. You could see from anywhere.
The largest theaters held 15,000 people.
In between performances, you could eat food that you had brought from home or buy something from a vendor, like at a modern ballpark today. Masks.
Actors wore masks with exaggerated features to express different emotions. Masks could be seen in the back of the theater.
Masks were made of cork, leather, linen, or wood. Because of this perishable material, we do not have any original masks from the Golden Age. Masks were sometimes oversized and could act as a megaphone, projecting the actor's voice to the back of the stadium. Mega in Greek means big, phone means voice. Sometimes masks could appear very lifelike, particularly in the Golden Age. We know about them from vase paintings that were done about the same time. A good actor could move the mask in the theater light to convey different meaning, like an actor uses his face today. Actors. Each actor played several parts in one performance, quickly changing their mask and their costume behind the scenes. All the parts were played by men. Actors delivered the lines written by the playwright. There were never more than 2 or 3 actors on stage at any one time. They alternated their parts with the chorus. The chorus.
The chorus danced and chanted to music. It stood on the side of the stage in a place called the orchestra, which in Greek meant the dancing place. Chorus members all wore the same masks. The chorus is an outfit and an agent in the play. It sometimes gives advice to the characters or asks questions that might be on our minds and takes part in the activity on stage. It sets an ethical standard by which the action on stage will be judged.
It acts as an ideal spectator and reacts the way the playwright would like the audience to react.
It sets the mood and heightens the dramatic effect.
It adds movement, spectacle, song, and dance.
It has a rhythmic function. It pauses and paces the action so the audience can react and reflect on what's going on stage.
At the end of the performance, it poses a moral question or gives a word of warning. Types of performance. Tragedy. Tragedy was about difficult things. It dealt with big themes. Love, loss, pride, the abuse of power, the relationship between humans and gods. Comedy.
Athenian comedy was often an exuberant satire of important political people.
It was mixed with farce.
Like Saturday Night Live is today. The chorus of a comedy often dressed up like animals. The last scene was usually a banquet or a wedding. We know a lot about the look of comedy from vase paintings done at the time.
Satyr plays.
Satyr plays were meant to relieve the intensity of tragedy. The actors and the characters were drawn from myths.
Chorus were half man, half goat satyrs. The satyrs danced and drank wine. They poked fun at the characters. It was very silly and slapstick. Themes. Dramas about feeling, ideas, and action. The plays focused on human strengths and weaknesses. Their basic premise was that human nature does not change. Tragic flaw.
A tragic flaw is a weakness in a character that brings about trouble or ruin.
We all have anger and fear and pride. These are necessary for our survival if they are balanced out by our reason. But if they get out of balance, they can overwhelm us. Anger can take over, and we lose control. Fear can be difficult to escape if we let it get out of hand. And pride can puff us up and blind us to what's really going on. The most dangerous tragic flaw, according to the Greeks, the one that can throw us out of balance the most, is hubris. Too much pride or arrogance, especially in front of the gods. Catharsis is a Greek word that means clear or cleansing.
Think about a book or a movie that stirred your emotions. Maybe it even made you cry.
Maybe it scared you. Maybe you felt sympathy or compassion for the character. We usually try to have pleasant feelings and avoid uncomfortable ones. But aren't the movies and the books that make us cry the ones we sometimes recommend to a friend? Why? Think about it. The Greeks believed it had to do with this word, catharsis, clear or cleansing. By experiencing uncomfortable feelings, we have a catharsis that helps us release emotions and think more clearly. Dramatic arc and climax. Athenian drama had a form that movies and plays and books still copy today. Plays have a dramatic arc, a slow building of the story, an exposition where ideas and characters are presented, a rising action where energy and activity move at a quicker pace, until a climax where everything all comes to a head. Then the action gradually falls away to a resolution.
The dramatic climax is the hold your breath moment, like the climax of a sporting event.
Struggle and conflict.
The Greeks believed the struggle of civilization and barbarism takes place in each human being.
Seeing other human beings struggle on stage, we become more compassionate
And more fully human. Athenian drama served to knit the community together. It was religious. They were worshiping the god Dionysus.
It was educational and intellectual. It asked important, probing questions that made people think long after the performances were done. It was entertaining, engaging, moving, and funny. You had a good time, or a scary time, or a sad time, but you were involved. It covered the entire range of human emotions. It was part of civic life, something every Athenian was expected to do, like voting. It was social, a place to see and be seen, where you would see old friends and make new ones. Freedom of speech ruled. Playwrights could write anything they wanted, no matter how unpopular. Plays were only performed once. You really had to pay attention. They were talked about for months and months afterwards, the way we talk about the latest Netflix or book or story that we've heard. The action was exciting. It riveted you. It was hard to watch or think of anything else when it was going on. The language was moving and beautiful and brought up all sorts of emotions. Drama was filled with poetry. When we think of poetry, we think of three things. Sound, the sound that the language makes. Sometimes the sound enough can captivate us and take us to another world. Images, the images that come across our eye, sometimes just bring us out of ourselves and into the performance.
The meaning of the words. What are the ideas that the playwright is trying to get across to us? And how do they help us to think about our lives?
This is a choral ode by Pindar. It was written to celebrate the victory of an Olympic athlete. Listen to the words. See if you can let the images form in your mind, and then think a little about the meaning of the words. The race of the gods is one thing, that of men quite another. We both get our breath from earth, our common mother. Yet the powers of the two races are wholly different, so that one of them is nothing, while the bronze heaven of the gods stays secure forever. But we can become something like the immortal gods through greatness, greatness of mind or greatness of body, though we don't know from day to day or night to night what course fate has drawn for us to run our race. The poem seems to be saying two things. On the one hand, we are connected to the gods. We both get our breath from the earth, our common mother. And yet, we are wholly different from them. For their bronze heaven stays secure, and our world sometimes comes to nothing. But then it suggests something a little more hopeful and a little more complicated. It says we can become like the immortal gods through greatness, through excellence, greatness of mind or greatness of body. When we seek to do our best at any given activity, the Greeks believed the gods approached us. And even though we don't know what our fate is, that greatness can bring us closer to them. This is the end of Drama, Part 1. Think about what you learned today and find one spot that really interested you. Come up with a question. Send it to Peter, and he'll send it along to me. And next time, we'll talk about it when we continue with Drama, Part 2. Thanks for listening. Enjoy your day.